milk out of a bowl or a bucket? Okay, have you ever seen a horse drinking milk? Have you ever seen a goat, a sheep, a cow, a zebra, elephant? Any time in your life, have you ever seen these animals drinking milk of a bucket or a bowl? Okay, so here is some interesting revelation. Okay, animals on the left are actually vegetarian animals. Okay, they only drink milk when they are infant, when they are babies of their own mother. That's it. When they grow up, they don't drink milk. Animals on the right are non-vegetarian. Some of it are carnivorous and some of it are omnivorous. Can anybody tell me which is the omnivorous on the right hand side? A pig. A pig is an omnivorous. Okay, it can consume plant-based diet as well as non-veg diet. Okay, rest all three animals here on the right hand side are actually carnivorous. Okay, but here again you see these are all non-vegetarian animals. If you offer them a milk, they will not take the milk by themselves. But if you offer them the milk, they will drink out of your mouth. So what does the nature tells us? What does Mother Nature tells us? The Mother Nature tells us that if you want to live a vegetarian lifestyle, do not drink milk when you grow up from infancy. Absolutely not. Okay. Now, somebody says, what about our definition? Okay, what about humans? We ourselves created the definition of vegetarianism. Okay, so I did some research here. How was the word vegetarian formed? It was formed in 1836. Okay, and it was formed from vegetable plus Aryan. Okay, and again, if you see any dictionary, even Hindi dictionary, okay, Shabdkosh, okay, the word vegetarian means shakahari. फल सब्जी खाने वाला. Okay, the word vegetarian means a plant-based diet. Does anybody here believe that milk is a plant-based diet? I just want to make sure. Anybody here believes milk can come from the plant? Okay, nobody believes. Okay, so what happens? Okay, so there is a term given for people who think they are vegetarian, who are consuming milk. Actually, they are lacto-vegetarian. There are some people who likes to eat egg and still want to be called vegetarian. Those people are actually in human definition, they are called ovo-vegetarian. They are not strict vegetarian, they are ovo-vegetarian. Even Wiki, everywhere we go, you search for vegetarian, okay, it is this definition. A strict vegetarian diet excludes all animal products including eggs, dairy, beeswax and honey. So now, any questions on this subject before I move on to the next one? Okay, thank you. This particular presentation is going to cover all aspects of animal cruelty. Also about, I'm going to briefly touch upon what Sudhanshu Bhai just talked about on environment, as well as on your own body, as well as on your soul. Okay. So the first three slides are on the animal cruelty. How does the cruelty start with the cows? Cows are made artificially impregnated for 300 days out of 365 days. Just imagine. Some of us have witnessed pregnancy ourselves. Okay, it's a painful process. Okay, within minutes after birth, okay, the calves are separated from the mothers, and mothers are known to cry for weeks in separation because of the separation pain. If it is a male calf, okay, what do? We send it to the veal industry. Okay, it is immediately sent to the slaughterhouse for the calf skin as well as for the meat. Now, once cows are old enough, which is about 18 months of their life, they are forcefully dehorned. Okay, because if they live with their horns, they tend to hurt each other, so it's forcefully disarmed. And the process is as painful as removing your nail without any painkillers. Cows are mostly hooked up to the instrument, which increases their discomfort and chance of disease. Okay, it's a myth. You will see some farms, they will keep probably around 50 cows outside just grazing grass, but it is not true. About 10,000 cows inside these farms are standing all the time, hooked up to the milking machine. Nobody takes out the milking machine every day, put them outside to graze freely, and then bring them back again. They're all the time attached to the milking equipment. To the surprise, in some farms, their hooves are these feet, okay, will never touch grass, only the concrete floor. Mechanical milking causes painful disease. We talked about it, and they are left untreated because medicines can come into the milk, so that's why they are untreated. The second picture is really alarming. They are given growth hormones. Okay, we all have heard of growth hormones. The second picture is split into two. The first shows the normal cow, and second shows the cow which is given the growth hormones. How much painful is that process? Just imagine. Why they are giving growth hormones? Because they can now produce 4 times the amount of milk otherwise they would ever produce. After living for 5 to 6 years, okay, of their natural life or artificial life, they are no longer profitable to the dairy industry. Okay, so what happens there? Why they are not profitable? Because they are spending more money in order to produce the milk than what they get it out because of selling the milk. So they send it to the slaughterhouses. Okay, what happens when they go to slaughterhouses? Their flesh is used for beef, their skin is used for leather, and hooves are used for button, bones are used for making gelatin. So essentially every single part of the cow body is still used.
Even for sugar.
Yes, and bones are also used for refined sugars. Thank you. So this was the impact on the animals. Let's look at the impact on air, water and land. This was surprising to me. Dairy farms accounts for 40% of the greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide, methane and nitrous oxide. Okay, 40% of the greenhouse gases. Dairy farm uses 8% of all water resources, and dairy farm livestock is occupying 70% of the agricultural land. To the extent, this is something very interesting. United Nations came out with a report that non-vegan diet as one of the top contributors to the most serious environmental problem. It is not the cars we drive, it is not the gasoline, it is not the factories. Single most contributor is the dairy industry. Okay. Let's talk about some health benefits of veganism. A vegan diet can reverse disease. On the left, in 1987, a patient was diagnosed with clogged artery. So that's an X-ray, and one of the doctors prescribed him vegan diet. Okay, after 5 years, without any medication, his clogged arteries disappeared. It naturally becomes better. Okay, in 1992. Most of us have heard about the last heart attack as a CNN documentary. Okay, on Mr. Bill Clinton. Clinton had to go through 4 bypass surgery. Okay, there are 4 arteries in your heart. All 4 were bypassed. After 4 or 5 years of those bypass surgery, he again developed heart disease. This time, he was given in 2 arteries stents. Okay. Now what happened? This time, some of his physicians told him, Mr. Clinton, you have a couple of years to live because the next heart attack will go to kill you. There's one physician in his panel said, there's one way you can have a better life if you want to live for another 10-15 years. He said, be vegan.
And that was Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn.
Yes.
That's the one that said it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Omnisha.
Ornish and SSM.
Ornish.
Yes,
Yes.
Dr. Ornish. I think Dr. Ornish was the one who said that. Okay. So you can watch this 40-minute video. It's on YouTube. It's very, very eye-opener. In fact, the reason it is called the last heart attack is the title goes like this: if every American will become a vegan or follows the vegan diet, plant-based diet, then this would be the last heart attack seen in America. That is why it is called the last heart attack. There is another interesting study done, which is called China study, and it's one of the most methodical study done. In China, there's mainland China, mostly they don't use dairy, okay, because their main diet is based out of tofu or soy products. But they are part of China which start to use a lot of dairy because of the Western influence. So they did a very systematic study, and then they figured it out. Wherever the dairy consumption was high, the number of diseases were high too. Okay, that's the China study. Again, Kaiser, a leading health insurance company, I think it's based out of California, recently came out with a recommendation, which is spring 2013, May 2013, that physicians should consider recommending vegan diet to their patient because that's the best diet. Even there's a study done by Epic Oxford, okay, every single study says non-meat eaters, especially vegans, have lower prevalence of hypertension and lower systolic and diastolic blood pressure than meat eaters. So, now this is a slightly controversial topic. We all think, is veganism a different religion altogether? Is veganism better than Jainism? Is veganism negate Jainism? And I think in order to describe what veganism means or what relationship veganism has with Jainism, I'd like to take you guys back 36 years back in my life. I was about 10 years old, and with my father, I went to a Jain temple. And my father used to do a lot of sadhya. And I asked him, what are these all textbooks about? He said, it's all about Jainism. I said, wow, Jainism. So, and then he used to always tell me, always practice Jainism, never leave Jainism. So I asked him, I can't understand any one of these books, so how do I practice Jainism? So he gave me a very interesting answer. He says, whenever in doubt, Jainism has one very basic fundamental principle. Ahimsa parmo dharam. Non-violence is the supreme religion. He says, whenever in doubt, all the time ask yourself, are you doing anything which is a violent act? And if the answer is yes, try to do a non-violent act. So I personally believe my journey of Jainism, real Jainism, which in Western term is called veganism, okay? I think it started 36 years back, okay? After I realized this definition, actually I was not as good as my father to read all the scriptures and all the books, textbooks. I always used to think, okay, is it non-violence? If it is non-violence, stop it, okay? I'll give you a lot of incident in my life, actually. 20 years back, I was at the Singapore airport, and I got really excited. At the airport, they were saying, okay, choose the seat, there you get the pearl, the motis, okay? And you can choose your own seat there, and they will cut it open in front of you, and it's your luck. You pay $10, you can get a big one, pearl out of it, or you can get a small one. It could be a very round one, and that's the thing. And I went there. I was very excited because my mother wore pearl, and everybody else thought motis okay. I went there. I gave $10, and I said I want to have a pearl, and I was very excited because I was first time going back from United States to India, and I said this will be perfect gift for my mother, that I got a real pearl for you. But when the whole process happened in front of me, okay, I was amazed and shocked. This was a live pearl. They cut it open, their stomach, and there you get one simple pearl. I sat down there. Is it ahimsa or is it hinsa? I immediately remember what my father told me when I was the age of 10 years. I said, it does not matter what is written in my scriptures. Sometimes maybe people can think, oh, मोतियों का दान दो तो बहुत अच्छा होता है. I said, I'm not going to think about it. In my mind, in my definition, from my point of view, it is hinsa. And that is the first time, 20 years back, I gave up on. Similarly, a lot of other incidents happened in my life. Leather shoes. I used to wear leather shoes, but then I realized how much hinsa is that. I used to wear silk, then I realized how much hinsa is that. And then in the end, I used to drink milk. I used to be really fascinated with the dairy products. But then one day I realized how much hinsa is that, and then I gave up dairy too. So my point is, don't think veganism is a very different thing. Veganism is Jainism. This is all the Jain principles which my father taught me 36 years back, the very basic fundamental principles I have been applying all throughout my life, and with Western definition, I stand by as a vegan person, but I am nothing but a Jain. Okay? So, there are certain things which also I would like to point out. Jainism preaches not to own pets, dog, cat, birds, since you limit their freedom. Okay? So why shouldn't this apply to cows? Has anybody thought about that? Isn't milking cow is stealing milk away from the cow? Isn't stealing bad in Jainism? So, and Jainism promotes non-violence towards single-sense being. Okay, it goes to that extent. And here cows are 5 cents with the thinking capability. We call it Sangye Panchayati. So much hinsa, so much violence is happening towards cows, okay, and yet we want to ignore it, yet we want to call it as a different religion because it comes under the umbrella of veganism. No way. It is under Jainism. Absolutely. It is not under veganism. Veganism is the way to express ourselves, to differentiate ourselves, but it is nothing but Jainism. Last point which I would like to make on this topic is how many of you have heard of 6 ras tyag, 6 rason ka tyag? Okay? Yeah. So 6 rason ka tyag, 6 tyag is sweet, salt, oil, ghee, milk and yogurt. It is good. It is mentioned in our scriptures that if you do ras tyag, it is good for you. By being a vegan, or I call it Jain, okay, you are doing 3 ras tyag permanently. So it's always good. It's no way you can say it's anti-Jain. It's within Jain scriptures. How many of you knew before coming here that India is the biggest beef exporter in the world? It's an eye-opener for me. I guess nobody. Okay? It has been confirmed by the Ministry of Food Processing Industry in India as well as US Department of Agriculture, because one is an importer and one is an exporter. Okay? India, because the beef is not consumed in India, it has become the biggest beef exporter in the world. Okay? With 1.6 million tons of beef and meat export happened in 2012 itself. Huge numbers. Do you know 10,000 cows comes to the slaughterhouse every day in India alone? Okay, the number in US is 115,000 cows every day slaughtered in US. Okay. There was an interesting website where this lot of discussion was happening. I'm sure most of you know that the slaughterhouses in India are coming up like anything. And a lot of people were saying, okay, let's not have slaughterhouses. Okay? And I think very good thought. Let's not have slaughterhouses. But let's think about it. What are the real options? Should we leave the cows which are not profitable to the dairy industry on the streets? That's one option. So every day, 10,000 new cows will come to the street. What will happen to our street? Will we be able to drive? No. So that's not an option. The second option is to make Gaushala. Very good. Excellent thoughts. But here comes the practical issue. You will have to open one Gaushala every day of the capacity of 10,000 cows every day for next 15 years, because after 15 years you will be able to recycle your first Gaushala which you made for the new set of cows coming in. Okay, that's a huge impractical problem again. You can't make that many Gaushalas every day. Where will you get the land? Where will you get the resources? Food resources, water, everything. The real option is to stop consuming dairy products. That's the real option. If you think slaughterhouses are not good, then stop consuming dairy products. What is common in these pictures? There are Gurudev Chitrabhanuji, James Cameron, Steve Wynn, Brad Pitt, Tobey Maguire. Who knows Tobey Maguire? Come on, kids. Tobey Maguire. Spider-Man. Maneka Gandhi, Carl Lewis. Do we know Carl Lewis? 9-10 gold medalist, track and field. Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Anne Hathaway, Carrie Underwood. Who's Carrie Underwood? American Idol. Natalie Portman, Bryan Adams, Ellen, Alicia Silverstone. They all are vegan, not vegetarians. Well, I call them vegetarians because my definition of vegetarian means absolutely no milk. But let's talk about modern definition. They all are vegan. There are many, many more to this list. So, a lot of people have asked me, so now that I'm convinced, I want to take a step, I want to become a vegan, okay, what do I do? My first and foremost request is not to just think about the lecture which you have gone through in last 2 days, or think about the exhibition which you have gone through, but to read and research yourself. Okay, go back. On the internet, there is tremendous amount of information available. Go do the research yourself. Okay, transform slowly with your friends, family and community, and integrate one item at a time. Who believes he is good for us? Who believes he is good for us? Anybody who thinks he is good for us? Okay? Ghee has been proven. You can still argue for milk or yogurt. Okay? Start with ghee. Give up ghee. There is absolutely nothing ghee gives you other than the cholesterol. Understand it? Okay? Ghee does not give you anything. So start incorporating one item at a time. Maybe if you are bored enough to start doing vegan Mondays, vegan Wednesdays, whatever day you choose. Okay? Try to be vegan once a day, once a week. Okay? One of the great things which we did at JCGV, the Boston Temple, is we eliminated ghee in the aartis and instead substituted with the almond oil. Okay? Like, a lot of people think almond oil is an equivalent. In my opinion, even vegetable oil aarti is good enough, but we get some ego, a little bit of ego. He's precious. Come on, don't equivalent make ghee and the vegetable oil. So I was not able to. Initially, I was proposing let's use vegetable oil. That didn't fly anywhere in the JCGV temple. So then my wife got an idea. She said, "Oh, almond oil is even twice expensive than ghee." Okay, so she got that one, and then everybody said, "Oh yeah, anything which is more expensive, more precious, that means that's what we should give it to the gods." Okay, that really worked out. So, and the advantage of it is like during winter weathers, you don't have to run to the microwave and try to melt the ghee away because almond oil is always liquid. You can actually use it. There are a lot of resources like PCRM 21 Days Vegan Kickstart Guide. And lastly, I want to mention in this topic is there was a structured survey done for 2,000 vegans. Do they really feel weak after becoming vegan? Do they really feel less energetic? And 98% of those people says transitioning to vegan is effortless and people feel healthier and energetic after the transition. So this is a more structured study. These are the vegan substitutes. Almost for everything which you can think of, from milk to whipped cream to mayonnaise to honey to butter to yogurt, paneer, the cheese, the mozzarella and the cheddar cheese, cream cheese, ice cream, chocolate chip, everything is available in vegan. This is the wonderful slide prepared by my beautiful wife. Okay, I challenge her. I said, you know, veganism does not mean I don't give up my desire to eat. Okay, so I challenge her. I said, I want almost everything because this is what my Jain kitchen looks like. Okay, I used to like kadai paneer, malai koftas, jalebi, kaju barfi, gajar halwa, all these things. All these things can be prepared with less effort in a healthy fashion using the non-dairy substitute. It's listed for which substitute you need to use, of course, different substitutes. Like paneer can be done using tofu. We have to prepare paneer parathas, means tofu parathas. Okay, we prepare paneer pakoras. Anything, shahi paneer, tofu paneer. Okay, tofu. Use tofu. Extra for tofu, use extra from tofu. Yeah. Okay, there are multiple flavors of firmness of tofu, but that's what it is. For egg substitute, 2 tablespoons of water, 1 tablespoon of oil, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. For any baking needs, this is the best formula you can ever do. Okay. Last slide. These are my original thoughts. These are only my thoughts. Okay. Drinking your mother's milk, your mother's choice, and you're right. Okay. Drinking cow's milk is neither cow's choice and nor you're right. That's first thing. And second thing is, no mother in this earth would like to become artificially pregnant only to offer milk to others. No. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening, and I'll be open for any questions.